So out of the 4 Vedas, we had completed something called as Rigveda. The oldest of the Ved talks about how the yagnas are going to be carried out. Total how many verses were written? 1028. The whole book was divided into 10 divisions. Followed by Rigveda, what we saw, the Samved. Samved, also known as Gangotri of music. Now Gangotri is that particular point from where Ganga originates. Yamunotri and Gangotri. So Gangotri is that place from origin, basically. Forget about Ganga, remember about something called as origin. And Gangotri of music means we see the origin of music. And what exactly is the music is that sound which is pleasant to ear. There is a small difference between noise and music. In both the cases, we are going to see various instruments being played, various singers being singing, or something like this. A common thing is going to be there. But in case it is harsh on your ears, you don't want to hear it, that is called as a noise. And when it is in a synchronized good fashion, when it is pleasant to your mind, we will be calling it as music. So a little bit of difference. Here thin line fractions. For some, rock music in English is considered to be music. And for others, it might be just noise. So this is a thin line perception which you have to understand. And when I talk about to be called as Gangotri of music, because here in this Ved, that is the Samved, we learned about how to pronunciate the things. Which things? Those hymns which have been written, their pronunciation is going to be much more important for us to understand. Because the language is something which is very much new and new words were used. So their pronunciation, it really matters. And this pronunciation means where to put a break, where to start from, how to start. Everything is being learned in this Ved called as Samved. The third Ved, which we happen to see, is Yajurved. Also called as the Ved of Yagna. So whenever any yag is going to be carried out, Yagna or Yag, 2 ways in which we pronunciate the things, we are going to have certain prose and poetic pronunciations being carried out. 2 ways. You have a conversation and you have got certain in rhymes, rhythmic forms. So both are going to be present in this Yajurved, which helps you to carry out various yagna. In some of those old ways, you might have heard about Ashwamedh Yagna. Heard about it? Has anyone heard about Ashwamedh? So in older times, various types of yagna used to be carried out, including that one which I've just remembered about it, Ashwamedh, where the horse was let loose by a super king, and wherever this area, this horse used to travel, that was considered to be under the occupation of that king of whom this horse belonged to, and ultimately once it returns to its home, the yagna is completed. Fourth one we have got is Atharved. Various types of rituals and sanskars are described in this way. Now sanskar means how you are going to behave in your life. Sanskar is what? Your day-to-day life. At present, you meet some old person, you are going to wish that particular person. That is sanskar. Right? So, that particular things has been talked about, that is general way of life, is described in the 4th Ved, which is called as Atharva. Moving to the next one we have got is Upanishad. Now at this time, what exactly we see during this ancient period, lot of philosophies were thought about. And the people decided to write it down. Now when I say philosophies, let us say, one question. How was earth formed? you might be having a lot of conceptions or misconceptions. Two things. Conceptions means you have got certain concept, or you might be having some wrong concepts. Either ways. And everyone will be talking about this is how the earth was formed. Okay. We try to convince ourselves this is how the earth was formed. But how was the life originated? What was the reason behind the origin of life? In case life originated, it must have come from some place. See, you have learnt about that cell theory which was propounded by Schleiden-Schwann and Virchow. In class 9th you have gone through it. In which Virchow statements or that propounding which is there is, a cell is going to originate from pre-existing cells. Now where did this first pre-existing cell came? Got an idea? I am following it. But there has to be some first. How it came? Let us talk about not only coming. If an organism is going to die, is there something called as soul? In case it is there, where it is going to go? From where has it come from? See, there are so many questions of which we don't have any concrete answer and try to find answers to it. And Upanishad, this particular part is going to get covered. Vivid description, clear description, and analysis of the beginning of universe. How life originated. How certain things started to get into formation line. Mysteries of life and death. Materialistic and spiritual world. Materialistic is something which you have got in this world. Your clothes, your food, your house, vehicles. And there is something called a spirituality. That is inner self. What is right, what is wrong. So all those questions were getting mixed up together and we were trying to find the answer for it. Brihadaranyaka Narayan and Chand Goyal are the earliest, underlying those particular things. Remember it, these are the earliest form of Upanishads being written, and they are in dialogue form. And when I say dialogue, it means a conversation taking place between two people. That is how the dialogues are going to happen. I am going to ask a question, you are going to reply, or you are going to ask a question and I am going to reply. That is a dialogue. So this is in this way. They are 108 in all as mentioned in Muktiko Upanishad. So point to remember, Muktiko Upanishad and 108 dialogues are mentioned out there. The next one which we have got is Brahmanical literature. Correlated with Brahman. Brahman means learned. Any person who is a learned man will be called as a Brahman. And when we talk about the Brahmanical literature, we are talking about those persons who are in a position to actually discuss about the previously existing literature. And who could those persons will be? Those have to be learned men. I want to say that E is equal to MC square is wrong. But who am I? I must be someone who has actually worked in that field or department. Then only I will be in a position to say whether E is equal to MC square is right or wrong. Am I right? Those who are not in that particular field, first of all, they don't even come to know, and even they come to know, they are just learning it by heart. That E is equal to MC square. What does E stand for? What does M stand for? What does C stand for? We don't know. We have learnt it. We have seen it. I was happy to see that, oh yes, it is written E is equal to MC square. Looks very fabulous. Fascinating. Let's write it down. But what does it mean? Only the particular person who is in that department will be telling me whether it is right or wrong. Or to be very precise, if I am talking about certain theories written by Newton or Einstein, I need to be at least at par with that personality. Then only I will be able to say that Isaac Newton did something wrong or right. And why we are going to think about it? Because people consider me on IQ level on the same side. So, When we talk about the Brahmanical literature, we are talking about those learned men who are critically analyzing what was written in Ved. Did you get it? Veda. So that is knowledge. So knowledgeable person are talking about what is actually written in Ved and telling us what is right and what is wrong. So many Brahmanical epics were composed to understand the meaning of Vedic literature. Any critical appreciation. Criticals, we talk about the critics. Critics are the ones who knows about the respective field. Before going for a movie, you go for some ratings, which comes in newspapers or WhatsApp or whatever it is. And who exactly is giving that rating? That is given by some XYZ who is a critic in film industry. Who is that critic? That critic is that person who knows the art of direction, who knows how the sound has to be made or used, who knows the art of dancing, the one who knows how editing has to be carried out. He has got all the information. And then after watching the movie, he suggests, should you watch the movie or not? Story is very bad. Music is very good. Actors are worse. This is how they write. So that before going to the movie, you come to know what exactly is going to be lying ahead. Are you wasting the money? Or is it worth watching? Same is being done out here in Brahmanicals, where they are telling you, Ved, you should study. But why? What is good in it? Why it should be learned? Why it should be followed? So this is that analysis we are talking about. Vedic literature and directive principle regarding behavior has been explained broadly in all the Brahmanical literature which we come across. The next topic which we have got is Aranyaka. Aranyaka, according to the old language which has been presented to us, means forest. And we are talking about Aryans. Just like what we do after completing all the worldly activities. My kids have got settled, they got married. Let us live a peaceful life. This is what we do. And we call it as post-retirement. Even those guys used to do that post-retirement life. The Aryans, after they feel like that it is 45 years we have lived, enough of it. Kids have got married, daughter is there, son is there. Now I am going to move away from the village and go and settle down in the forest. We'll be having a small hut and I will do the philosophy about my own life. Philosophy which is going to actually help the next generations. I did certain thing right, I write it down. I did certain thing wrong, I'll also write it down with a comment that please don't you follow this footstep, try to avoid this decision, you should take this decision. So we are going to learn those processes. So with my life, you are going to learn about your life's future, how is it going to come, and that is Aranyaka. Clear? So Aranyaka, Aryans used to spend their last phase of life in Aranyaka, making their ashram in the Aranyakas, also called as the forest, compose literature based upon philosophy, which was the result of their deep thinking. So they don't have any work, they're just simply sitting and visualizing what went wrong and how. Next topic we have is Vedanga. The Vedanga literature deals with the religious practice and rituals, grammar. That is, you learn the art of literature. Astrology and astronomy, two different things. When I talk about astrology, we are talking about the effects of planet, moon or stars on us. And when I talk about astronomy, it's knowledge. Its knowledge means the knowledge about the planets. Yesterday's so-and-so planet was so-and-so at this particular angle. Now it has shifted to this particular angle. And when I talk about astrology, I'm trying to predict the future based upon the placement of the planets, or a single word, celestial bodies. So that these celestial bodies, how they are going to affect me on the basis of previous patterns. Last time when moon was in this particular phase, we had good rain. So even this time I expect it to be happening like this. Or last time when the sun was in this particular alignment, we had earthquake. So I'm trying to predict in the same fashion. Last time it happened like this. Perhaps it is going to happen like this now also. So this is astrology and astronomy both working tandemly in hand to hand with one another. Ramayana and Mahabharata, two great Indian epics. The present form of these epics can be traced to the 2nd century. Now what does the statement talks about? The one Ramayana and Mahabharata which we read, recite every day, it was not written before 2nd century. So it is approximately 1900 years old. This particular epic is there in the world. It might be possible that prior to it there were other forms of Ramayana or Mahabharata available. We don't have it now in our custody. Hamare paas. Here a wondering part. In India we have got 200 types of Ramayana being followed by various groups of people across length and breadth of India. 200. A very unique one. I think so you will be getting amused with it. One of Ramayana which is followed in the tribal areas of Himachal. It talks about Ramchandra and Sita not as husband and wife but as brothers and sisters. Unique thing, you never heard about it. Never imagined about it. But this book is approximately 600 to 700 years old, and it is followed in this way by those tribal people only. And I told you there are 200 types of these books, either present in length, breadth, height, whatever you call. Anyway, Mahabharata is a larger epic and Ramayana is a smaller epic. Where we talk about Mahabharata to be having 1 lakh verses. Important from the objective questions point of view, describes between the wars of brothers, Kauravas and the Pandavas. Beside also contain numerous stories. Bhagavad Gita, a part of Mahabharata. Question was there in pre-board examinations 2 years back. Many didn't really knew the answer whether Bhagavad Gita is part of Mahabharata or Ramayana. So 50% of the student really failed in this particular question. Remember it is part of Mahabharata, and it talks about one unique thing, and what that unique thing is, achieving salvation, moksha, mukti. And how you can get it? You have to have 3 things. One is gyan, knowledge. You need to have second thing, that is karma, that is good deeds. And the third thing we talk about is bhakti, devotion to the deity, the God you want to worship. So when you are going to follow these 3 things, you are going to get salvation, freedom from life and death journey. We will keep it this much for today and continue tomorrow.